Well, good evening. My name is Brittany Francis, and I am so incredibly excited to be with our family tonight. Welcome to our Testimony Tuesday with our top tier team. All of us are so incredibly excited to be together tonight. We come together on Tuesdays just to share testimonies of what is happening through this incredible technology. And so, with that, just know that this technology truly is going to change your life if you're new. This is what it looks like right here, and it's actually in the stem cell world. Okay, so this technology actually, in a very scientific way, activates your body where your body begins to treat itself with its own stem cells. So it's incredibly brilliant. We're going to go into the science, but I would love to start with a testimony tonight. And a dear friend, I am so excited. He texted me, he said, "Yes, I'm going to share," is Anthony. Anthony, I would love for you to unmute yourself, and I would love to just hear what you have to say and about what's going on.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Good, good. Thanks for having me on. My name is Anthony Baker. I'm from Benton, Arkansas, and I have actually been on the patches since August 24th of last year. Real quick, I mean, for me, I did not know that God was giving me the answer to an issue before I even knew I had the issue. And he actually put the answer in my hand before I knew I had it. It's done 19 things for me, but I'm not going to list them all, but I will list two. The first one was when I first started, I had a discomfort in my shoulder for 3 years. I took Flexerol, I took Tramadol, gabapentin, hydrocodone, oxy. It didn't matter. Nothing got rid of that discomfort. But after wearing the patches for just 2 days, August the 24th to August 26th, the the discomfort, the discomfort was absolutely gone. It was completely gone. But the biggest thing for me was in April of last year, I had a pulmonary embolism, and they had to take out 18 blood clots off of my lungs and my aorta. And from April all the way up until August, I started to get weaker and weaker and everything. And so my breathing was labored. Found out I had an enlarged aorta. Now, I found out I had the enlarged aorta the exact same day that I got the LifeWave X39 in my hands. So I did not know I had the enlarged aorta. I just had the Ice Wave, I mean the X39s. So as I put the X39s on, and 2 weeks later, when I went back for my CT scan, they called me the following Tuesday, and my cardiologist said, "Your aorta is fine and everything looks great." I did not know I needed X39, but God did.
I love it. Oh, Anthony, that was so beautiful. And the story continues. So I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Anthony, for opening us up with that. So, you know, that's what tonight is about. That is what tonight is about, is hearing what is happening in each of our friends' lives because of this incredible technology. So remember, your testimony is going to be completely different than every other person's because your body is different. Your stem cells are your stem cells. So your body knows what to travel and triage. So as we talk about this technology real quickly before we open up for the other testimonies, please understand that your story. So my husband, he wanted his back fixed. Well, his stem cells knew that he actually had more of a severe issue. He was bleeding internally. So his stem cells focused on that area first. So just remember that your body is going to fix what your body is going to fix. Now, what are stem cells? Stem cells are the master building block of the entire body. Okay, so it's their job to naturally repair and naturally renew when they're awake and when they're alert. Okay, so they're found throughout various tissues and organs, and they replenish dying cells. Okay, so they'll travel, they'll go through. If they're awake, then they can go and they'll know exactly what needs to be fixed. See, they have the ability to turn into whatever is necessary for your body to fix. So they take care of inflammation, they take care of regeneration, they take care of viruses, they energize you because your body, all the issues, those underlying issues that we mask a lot of times with medication, your stem cells still see, well, that's still an issue. They may not feel it, but this is still an issue. So it's really interesting to really think about that. Okay, so they're undifferentiated. So if I had nerve damage in my hand, my stem cells will go, oh, she's got nerve issues. We got to go in, we got to turn into that so that she can actually feel what she needs to feel. Or if it muscle, they'll turn into the muscular cells. Okay, so it's incredible to understand exactly how this technology works, because when you hear that your stem cells actually go dormant and go to sleep by the time we're 30, half of your stem cells are asleep, you say, well, no wonder why last week it was really hurting me to get out of my chair. Because what happens is the older that we are, the more stem cell activity we lose. Okay, so the older you are, the fewer stem cells you have ready to work for you. Okay, so that's why this technology is incredibly brilliant. Now, David Schmidt is the founder and the CEO of the X39. He's the inventor, and he has over 200 patents. He's incredibly brilliant, but I like to speak about him quickly because you're about to hear some incredible testimonies, and I want you to understand that this technology is not on trial. Okay, over 20 years ago, he was contracted by the government to come up with something that the Navy SEALs could use that would keep them awake for 24 to 36 hours straight, ready for combat. Okay, our Navy SEALs at the time were hooked on amphetamines. And so he began to study the body, and he found that the body actually has chemical reactions in response to light. Okay, so this was nothing new. There were tons of other scientists prior to him for years, centuries, that have studied this. But he was like, okay, if it's not a drug or it's not something that they can intake, it has to be an exterior circumstance that would cause the body to wake up. So he began to study light frequency, and he found remarkably that the body also emits light, which are actually called biophotons. Okay, and that there are actual chemical reactions inside the body when light begins to hit and begins to light up. So it's incredibly brilliant. Okay. Now, when he looked at all the biophotons and he started looking at around the body, he found, and again, this is no surprise to you when you think about it, that we actually emit light off of our body between 1 to 2 centimeters. And that's how we find each other with infrared guns, right? Because of our light frequency and our heat. So he found all kinds of different colors of light frequency. And remember, we're back still with the Navy SEALs. He found a red light that, when reflected back in the body with a two-patch system, that energy and adrenaline would happen in our Navy SEALs. Okay, so then this happened. The Navy SEALs began to use it. History then created itself. Stanford University got wind of it. They began to put it on their swimmers. Their swimmers began to have Olympic records because they went on to the Olympics. Michael Phelps should sound familiar. And that's the year that he actually won. And yes, he was utilizing this technology. Okay, so no drugs go into the body. He knew he was on to something big. Okay, so 9/11 happened. He lost the contract with the government because obviously our money needed to go elsewhere. And so he knew he was on to something special. So he began to study other frequencies of light off of our body. And he was on a mission, although he found all kinds of different frequencies. Okay. He found tons of different colors and frequencies that, when reflected, the body would elevate melatonin. When reflected, the body would elevate glutathione. When reflected, the body would lower cortisol levels. But he was on a mission for one thing. He wanted to wake up stem cells. And so that's why you're going to hear all these testimonies tonight, because this guy right here, the X39 that Anthony was just discussing, this technology reflects a frequency of light back into the body. The body accepts that light frequency, and then GHKCU, it's a copper peptide, is actually elevated. So it's patented. This is not on trial. Okay, you cannot fold a paper into an airplane and call it an airplane and or a rocket ship and receive a patent. You have to prove that it works. Okay. So here you go. The GHKCU is elevated in the body, and then the body begins to do incredible things. So that's what that patent right here is saying. And the reason why I really like to talk about this quickly before we hear testimonies is because you need to understand the holy grail of healing of the GHKCU peptide. Because if you're a guest or you're receiving this recording, what I want you to hear is that what may happen is the skin. And then all of a sudden you can breathe better. And then all of a sudden you start being able to move better. Well, why? Because that GHKC peptide is literally known as the holy grail of healing, and stem cells are just a byproduct. Activating your stem cells are just a byproduct of this. Okay, so this is incredible. So, this peptide is literally when you elevate it, those stem cells begin to wake up, and the more stem cells that are awake, the brighter and brighter your body gets. Okay. I like to say that we have a dimmer switch inside our body. The longer that we utilize this technology, the brighter and brighter our body gets, right? With our own stem cells. So you want to utilize this technology. Really, my husband and I have been using it for 18 months. And now my eyesight is good, actually great. And so the longer that you use it, the more you will see. Okay, so it's actually proven that if you utilize this technology longer than 6 months, it's literally clinically proven that you at the mitochondrial level will be touching at the mitochondrial level, you'll be touching the telomeres and you actually lengthen your life, not at an unhealthy lengthening, but what happens is your body actually age reverses by an average of 8.5 years in front of a biowell machine. So it's really incredible. It's completely clinically proven, and there's no drugs or stimulants. It is literally a proprietary form of phototherapy. Okay, so it's a nanocrystal technology. And what is in this little guy is there's little nanocrystals and they reflect that frequency of light back into the body. There, if you look under a microscope, it's pretty cool. It looks like a mirror and it reflects and catches that specific frequency. So there's no drugs, no stimulants. Okay, you're going to hear, like Anthony said, he's off of his medications. It's not that he didn't work with his doctor. It's just eventually what ended up happening was his body started fixing those things and he didn't need the medication. So I had Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid condition. Eventually, what ended up happening? My body began to fix itself. I didn't know that's what was happening. So I went to my doctor, and my doctor took my blood work and 3 days later called me and said, Brittany, please stop doubling up your medication, which was not rare for me. I double up everything. Everything's more is better. And so I'm a doctor's nightmare. And so I said, no, I said, I'm actually not. And he said, that means that your T3 and T4 leveled. I've never seen anything in all of my years of practice. That is what you're starting to see. And so more and more medical doctors are getting on board with this because they're seeing this. And when they're good doctors, they're like, how can I not? I take a doctor's oath. So there's actually 6 hospitals in France that utilize a portion of this photobiomodulation, which is the science, because they've deemed it literally almost criminal not to carry it because they take an oath as doctors saying they will do everything and anything that they can to help us. So it's really incredible the deeper that you look into this technology. So it's clinically proven, scientifically proven, after all the case studies, within the first few days, 4,000 genes begin to reset. Within 6 weeks, the brain becomes balanced. So PTSD, anxiety, depression, memory loss, um, uh, special needs children, they really begin to see a change in their ability to think. People that had a lot of concussions, I have a lot of professional athletes that utilize this technology. They begin to see that their body really begins to respond the way it used to. And then within 3 months, your collagen is increased, which ladies, yes, hair, skin, nails, you're about to hear that, I have no doubt. But the other piece is that the matrix of our body is actually collagen. Okay, so your ability to move, your ability to get out of a chair or out of a bed, it gets better and better. And then within 6 months, the cardiovascular age of the heart reverses. My father-in-law came in town last year. He was saying goodbye to our children. He began to utilize this technology because I told him you need this. See, he was diagnosed. He was told that he was in heart failure and kidney failure. So he began to utilize this technology. A few weeks into it, he's like, well, I might see a little bit more energy. And I said, well, you have to keep using it. 4.5 months later, we received a video of him dancing in Spain. And so it's incredible to see this is not anti-aging, it's age reversal. Okay, so the benefits that you're about to hear are literally unending. Okay, from increased strength, reduced inflammation. I want to cover all this because as you hear these testimonies, please don't think it's too good to be true because it's clinically proven. Okay, stamina, energy and vitality, that mental clarity, restored muscle and skeletal conditions, improvement of sleep, skin. The list goes on and on and on. And so I actually have a few people that I would love to just call on, and then there are others that I know have said that they would be willing to share. So Gina, I don't know if you are on, but I love Gina for you to share what has happened with you. It's very exciting.
Hi there, Brittany. I'm on. Do you hear me?
I hear you and I see you.
Hi, everybody. I'm outside. It started getting a little dark out here. I am Gina Stutz. I am 58 years old. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I started patching on May 7th of this year. I had been hearing about the patches for several months. My childhood friend Joy had introduced me to them along with her daughter Brittany. The two of them were doing this together, and I was skeptical. And so I just kind of watched month after month after month. It was almost 4 months later, and I was just at a really rough season at my day job, just exhausted. Some of you know, 58 years of age and being a woman, all those fun menopausal symptoms. And I was seeing how well Joy was doing, who's just around my age. And I thought, what do I have to lose? And so I got my patches in and I immediately patched the very next morning. And that first day, I did feel energy. And the next day, more energy. And by the third day, I just got out of bed and was ready to go to work and get things done. And mental clarity kicked in. I
That's
don't
really
know, that brain fog was gone. And then like I told you guys, I was going through a really stressful season at work and I kind of started coming up with some anxiety that I hadn't had before. And by the end of that first week, instead of my anxiety being like, oh my gosh, here, it was there, but it was way down. It was just like put on the back burner. And I just felt like, I don't know, I just felt like I had a sense of hope again. And then later on, my hair, my eyelashes, my eyebrows. I have all these baby hairs at the hair coming back, thicker nails. Oh, eyelashes. Talking my I was getting a facial, and my facial lady was like, "Oh my gosh, your eyelashes are so long," and then my nails are stronger than they've ever been. And what else did I notice? My gums. I kind of had receding gums at this age and a little bit of inflammation. And I go to the dentist next week and I cannot wait for my dentist to see my gums. They're just so healthy right now. And then smoother skin, wrinkles. I feel like I do not have crow's feet, and my 11 o'clock up here is just way better. I feel like my skin is smoother. And then two more things. So I had heard about skin tags falling off, and I thought, how in the world is that going to happen? And how would these patches do that? And a girl that joined about the same week that I did on my team told me that she had a couple of skin tags fall off. And she even sent me a picture of this one. And I was just like, wow. Well, guess what? About a week and a half later, I had two baby skin tags fall off. It was week 7 and week 8. This large one, they just like, they shrink up, they shrivel, and they fall off. It's nuts. I know it sounds crazy. And then today I announced on a group text that I couldn't believe this, and this is what Brittany saw, and she told me I should get on tonight. Is I have had a ganglion cyst on my forearm for over 10 years. I showed it to my doctor. He said it's nothing. They're harmless. And he said yours really isn't that big. Like I don't feel like we need to go in there remove it. A lot of times they grow back, and it just bugged me. But I guess I got used to it after a while. And I saw a post about somebody in LifeWave with X39 talking about their cyst like dissolving. And I went and I felt my arm, you guys, and it's gone. It has been on my forearm right here for, like I said, over 10 years, and it's gone. I know it's crazy. I was so skeptical in the beginning. I just can't tell you how I feel. I feel like this patch really, truly is age reversing for me. It's healing my body. And that's my story.
I love it. Well, I want to share a couple of slides with you all real quickly because I noticed that something was going on. Gina, this was beautiful because I really want to cover all of this. Now, here's the patent. Like I said, you cannot patent placebo. So you see right here that the elevation of the GHKCU peptide. What Gina just discussed were multiple side effects of your body waking up with this GHKCU peptide. So remember that skin and hair, there you go, right? The lung protection, all these other pieces, right? But that hair, skin, nails, and those stem cells. So Gina is starting to see all these incredible pieces come together in her body because the elevation of that GHKCU peptide. So that dimmer switch, Gina, is just starting to flip on, and that's why you're starting to see the miracles. So this is what she's talking about, a cyst, right? What happens is that your body begins to focus on the things that need to be focused on. And if there's cysts, if there's whatever there is, it's going to make its way through the body. That's why Gina was like, wait, the cyst is here. Wait, it's gone. Because eventually her body began to go through every single piece. So here's the telomeres lengthening. Gina, in the next 6 months, you're going to be seeing all of this come together. So I wanted you all to see that because I think it's very important that all of this that you understand, because Gina is going through so much change, that this is just the very beginning. So Gina, thank you so much for sharing. I'm so grateful. Claudette, I would love for you to come on and you to share what is happening for you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claudette Brown, and I live in Harlingen, Texas. I started patching at the end of May, and Gina talked to me about it. She and I have become, really good friends. We met through pharmaceutical sales. And so when she first spoke to me about it and she mentioned patches, I was thinking, I wasn't a big fan of just the thought of a patch. And then I said, well, what do they do? And she said it regenerates your own body's stem cells. And as soon as she said stem cells, I mean, she had me at stem cells. I said, okay, tell me more. So I learned, more about it just from talking to her and then listening into some Zooms and looking through some things that she sent me. So when I started, my main health concerns was my anxiety. My anxiety was really high with the current profession and company that I work with in my day job. And then I also suffered from back pain that it came from a car accident a couple of years ago, and I've suffered with that a lot. I've done all kinds of the vagus nerve stretching and on with the roller on the floor and going to the gym. And then I've also had allergies this year, and I typically don't, but I noticed in February, I drive a white car, but I noticed as early as February that my white car looked pale yellow. So it was covered in pollen, and I was having the runny eyes and watery nose and congestion and everything. And then I had developed high blood pressure after I had COVID, and I also got the vaccine. And I had never, ever had to worry about my blood pressure. It was always low. My heart rate ran low naturally. And so this was not an issue for me until after, again, like I said, I had COVID. So the first day I started patching, the very first thing I noticed was the anxiety just started lifting. It just felt like it was easing up and going away. And it was replaced with a sense of calm and clearer thinking. And that just continued to increase, on a daily basis. And by the end of the first week, I noticed that my back pain that by this time I was used to having that back pain. And I have all these pillows, lumbar protection, support in my car and everything that I use for my back. But I've noticed that the back pain isn't there like it was before. Actually, it's not there at all anymore. And then 4 weeks in, I dropped one pant size in weight. I'm not a scales person. I don't weigh or anything like that, but I did drop one pant size, and that was a surprise to me. It's not something I was expecting. And so I was like, well, okay, then I'll go back through my closet to see what I have to wear. And then 5 weeks in, the allergy symptoms, this was huge. I realized I'm not having any more allergies. I'm not using the nasal spray, all the over the counter allergy medications. And I can almost guarantee you that saving the money on those over the counter allergy, just the allergy medications alone, is, that using the patches instead is close to the same cost or probably less whenever I think about Tylenol or any of those other over the counter medications. And then 6 weeks in, I've noticed some changes in vision. I cannot wait until I get to the point where I don't need reading glasses. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. And then 2 months in, I am no longer on my blood pressure medication. And I have not been back to my cardiologist yet, although I almost saw him today with an appointment with my mom, but I can hardly wait to see him and tell him that I'm not taking my blood pressure medication anymore. And I do hope that he asks me why. So I am so happy to be here. I love this technology. And I truly, truly believe with full 100% confidence that this is one of the greatest medical advances so far in medical technology. No drugs, no side effects, no, you know, prior authorizations, no post-marketing surveillance where you're worried, okay, what's going to show up after people are using this. So I'm just really happy that Gina introduced me to this. And I'm just so happy to be on this team too. So
Well,
thanks.
we're so excited. And this is just really, I mean, Claudette, this is just the beginning because I know that you know the medical world, right? So it's incredible because what? Most medications, right? They say you have to take it for 90 days and then we can decide if it's dangerous to you or not. And so I love that you just said that because all this is photobiomodulation, the reflection of your own frequency. And that dimmer switch, Claudette, is just starting. Like it's just starting. So it's just going. So thank you so much. I just cannot wait for you to come back and you're going to be like, my eyesight is better. So
Me too.
it's just starting. It's just starting. So, all right. So, Ellie, I would love for you to just jump on and give us a quick testimony. And then, because I just got a text message, and then I would love just a couple more guys. We've got some good ones tonight. So, text messages are flowing in.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Eloise Clemens, or Ellie Clemens. I'm in Richmond, Texas, and thank you, Brittany, for allowing me to share. I love my story, and I love my husband's story. So I've been on the patch for about 17 months, and before the patches, I was on 5 medications. And within about 4.5, 5 months, when I went back to see my doctor, I had diabetes. I was labeled as a diabetic. And she took me off of 4 of my medications. So I'm down to 1 blood pressure medicine. Fast forward to present, I went to see her in August. I have to go every 3 months because she still has that, thinking I need to come in every 3 months, but that's okay. My blood work was great. She was so happy with my blood work. All that was really good. And she noticed that my blood pressure was really low the last couple of times I've been in. So she says, oh, monitor your blood pressure for me for 2 or 3 times a week. When you come back in, we may have to remove you from that last medication, which I am thrilled about. So I'll be seeing her again in November. I had all the great at the very beginning, the sleeping well, sleeping like a baby. I mean, literally, moms out there, when you're a mom, you hear a pin drop, but not anymore. I don't hear anything. I sleep good. I don't get up in the middle of the night to go make those bathroom breaks or anything like that. I used to suffer from migraines. I have no more migraines. Getting lots of compliments on my skin. I'm dreaming again. These are some of the newer things that have happened. If you go to Patching with Purpose, you'll see a lot of things that I've posted about. But the newest things are I'm dreaming again. I'm smelling, which is awesome. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, right? But just overall, everything is just going forward for me. I get asked, well, how often do how long do you have to wear these patches? And I always answer the question with, why would you ever not want to wear them? And so, with all the things that still keep coming up for us, I know we're kind of short on time, but I really wanted to touch base on my husband because he is a walking miracle. He suffered from arthritis in his hip, his knees, bone on bone, and his right thumb had arthritis in it. And we were basically told by 5 different doctors, welcome, this is your new life. Medicines, pain, injections, nothing was going to get better. There was no cure for what he has with the arthritis. And I remember going home that night and praying and saying, Lord, I know this is not what you want for your son. Daniel and I have been married 49 years. So I saw him go from a very young man to when he hit 60, his quality of life went down. We were not able to do a lot of the things that we used to do, which would go to concerts or go to the Texans game. We're season ticket holders. We weren't able to do those things because it was hard for him to walk around and or stand for any length of time. So when we started wearing these patches last year in February, he didn't wear them right away. He started about a week after I did. And I think it was because he wasn't nudging me anymore because I wasn't snoring anymore. And so he says, he comes home and I'm full of energy. So he's like, okay, I'll try them. Well, one night we ordered Chinese food, and this is about 4 months in, and he hops up off the couch. Now, mind you, before he could not get off the couch without limping and being hunched over and hobbled to the room. And he hopped up, went and got the Chinese food, came back, and I had this big grin on my face. And he's like, what's up? And I said, do you know what you just did? And he said, yeah, I got the Chinese food. And I said, no, babe, you hopped off. I get emotional about it because it's such a miracle. I said, no, babe, you hopped off that couch. And I said, I've never seen you like that in years. And he had to stand there for a minute. And he realized that, yes, he had done that. Now, prior to that, for over 4 years, his nightly routine was 4 Advil every night, pain creams on his hip, go to bed, have the heating pad ready because he knew he was going to need it, get up in the middle of the night and put more cream. 17 months later, I'm happy to report that he is fine. He's out there doing yard work. He's on his knees, pulling weeds. He built 2 storage sheds with a base. And my husband's 67 years old. And he's out there doing things that he did when he was younger. So I am so grateful for this technology. And I love sharing our stories. And thank you for allowing me to do that because I know there's going to be more.
I love it. I love it. So, what is so incredibly exciting is, when you hear, it wasn't working. When you hear these testimonies, what you are missing is that sometimes is that during the time that we're waiting for the miracles, there might be things that are happening internally that we have no idea. So remember, as that light frequency is happening, there were things that were happening inside both of their bodies that they didn't even have a clue. So the fact that her husband did not know even that something was happening and then he just got off the couch, that is very, very normal because remember that dimmer switch of those stem cells waking up is what ends up happening. And all of a sudden it's like a light bulb went off. And so I wanted you guys to see that because it's really, really important for all of us to remember for our loved ones that that's why maybe that happens. So I'm so excited. So that's wonderful. I received a text from Sheena, and Sheena, I don't know if you're on, but she just texted me about her husband. And, it's funny because I told my husband's story well before he ever did. Because I was like, my gosh, you're not snoring anymore. And for him, it wasn't a big deal because he was sleeping. But, I just love hearing these wives' stories because it's just so exciting because we know, what's in the future for those that we love. And sometimes the husbands don't want to share. So Sheena, please share because I cannot wait to hear.
Thank you, Brittany. Hi, everybody. I'm Sheena Fleener. I live in Lago Vista, Texas, and I just excited to share this with you about my husband. Last in March of 2024, he started getting really sick. He has two different immune disorders, autoimmune, and they kind of play off each other. The treatment from one causes the other one. One of them is called ITP. It's got a really long name that I can actually pronounce, but I won't do that to you. But what it means is his body eats his own platelets, and the treatment for that causes his body to get gout. The treatment for the gout causes his platelets to drop. So he spent 9 months last year between one of the two, was in the hospital a couple of times, even ICU with zero platelets. And in February, my friend told me about the patches and I got on them, and he saw within a few days that my pneumonia that I couldn't get rid of and my frozen shoulder had gotten better. He said, "Hey, I want to try one of those." So I stuck it right there on the gout on his ankle. And to this day, he has not had one bout of gout. His ITP, the platelets, they're thrilled when someone with this disorder, they stay over 50. Normal is like 150. His have been staying at 138 ever since. He has more energy, but the big one for me, girls, is he quit snoring. So I was sleeping great anyway on these patches, but boy, that's a really big one for me. And 2 weeks ago, he came home from the doctor, just an annual checkup. And I said, "How's the doctor?" He goes, "Well, they lowered my cholesterol medicine and told me I probably wouldn't need it much longer."
Love it. This is just the beginning, too. How long has it been total?
6 months.
Yeah, this is
Six.
just the beginning. 6 months. So, I mean, guys, that is Sheena, I love it. I love it. I love it. Martha. So, yes, Martha, we'd love to hear what is going on with you. Thank you, Sheena.
Hi, my name is Martha. I am originally from Texas. I am currently in Louisiana, so my hair is all humidity nonstop. But anyways, I'm going to share one of the miracles that I've had. So today I went to my doctor, and yesterday I went and did all my blood work. All my tests for my hypothyroidism were normal, and I've been patching for 2 months. So that is one amongst the other hour and a half that I need. But I've been taking thyroid medication for 12 years, and I have the Hashimoto's, and today everything was normal. So that's the thing for me today.
I love it. Martha, that is just so beautiful. Martha, I can't believe you didn't text me. That's amazing. That's incredible. That is beautiful. Well, I am just so excited. I am going to call on one more gentleman, and then I'm going to finish the slides. Please, if you're a guest, please stay on because I want to finish this because I'm telling you, you need this. You know, your family needs this. Randy, please share what's happened with you.
Thanks, Brittany. I'll make this quick. I usually don't, but I will. I've been on, I'm Randy Shenning from Little Rock, Arkansas. I've been on about 11 months. I think the first thing that I saw the first week was brain clarity. And if anybody needs it, I do. So I saw it in the first month. My sleep was really, really great. I could not go to bed without taking an acid reflux tablet. There was no chance I was going to sleep. I haven't done that in probably 8 or 9 months now. I'm dreaming again. We won't talk about my dreams, but they're good. I want to say something about emotional changes real quick. I have a tendency to work and then drop and then go into depression. And I've seen that I've been able to break that cycle very quickly or quicker than I have. So it's not just physical, it's been emotional for me. The overall recovery and the reduction of inflammation. My wife and I in August drove to Orlando, and we were driving 5 and 6 hours at one time. Get out of the car, absolutely no inflammation, no stiffness, nothing like that. We play pickleball. I see the recovery's better. I decided to play 2 hours of pickleball on Sunday, and then go play a pickup basketball game with a 14-year-old. Don't do that. And twisted my ankle almost. I thought at times I had broke my ankle, but even the next day I had a little bit of stiffness, and today there's no stiffness. So like Brittany says, you don't know what it's doing on the inside. The one thing I am waiting for it to do, it hasn't done yet, and I'm really looking forward to this, is making me as handsome as Anthony Baker. Hasn't happened yet, but I think that it will. That's it.
I love that. And from what I heard, my screen wasn't sharing, so you all got to see how handsome Anthony Baker was for a while. So I love that. I love that. Oh, that is so, but that is just the beauty of what we have our hands on, you guys. So, truly what we have our hands on is really special and extremely unique. My husband, like I said, I want you guys to understand that dimmer switch, because like Randy said, that was just so beautiful, because Randy's been using it for how long? When your stem cells are awake and alert and that dimmer switch is really all the way flipped on, your stem cells can move faster because there's less inflammation in your whole body. So when a travesty happens of falling or doing something to yourself, if you already have awake and alert stem cells, they can travel faster and not fight the inflammation. So that's huge. So that is absolutely massive. My husband was able to cancel all of his iron infusions. The inflammation was gone. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So, absolutely beautiful. This is what I wanted to show you guys, because a lot of our athletes love this technology. This is the energy enhancer technology that was developed for the Navy SEALs. Okay, so I wanted you guys to see this slide. Now, also we have an X39 and an X49 that a lot of our professional athletes utilize. And so if that's something that you say, I do have athletes. We actually have three of our four children are athletes. That is something that I would say definitely lean into, because you want to take advantage of everything that this technology has to offer. Because remember, it's not putting a drug or a stimulant in your athlete. My son has had a major before and after. So how you're going to wear the patch? You're going to put it where you need it. So if you have an arm issue, you're going to put it on your arm. If you have a knee issue, you're going to put it on your knee. But for patent purposes, to prove that it works. So if you're new, you would receive a flyer that says you can put it underneath your belly button or on the back of your neck. Well, that was because they wanted to prove that the technology is working. Okay, so they had to Lifewave had to select 2 spots, but you can put it anywhere. And that frequency of light, this is my adult show and tell, but that frequency of light will reflect, and then the stem cells will wake up and do their thing. You want to wear it 12 hours a day, and you can take it off and put it on your dog. If your dog has hip issues, back issues, neck issues, whatever it is, your dog can utilize this technology. And you want to stay hydrated with electrolytes, because remember, it's your body that's doing the work. Your body is what is doing the work. This is merely activating your body to do what your body needs to do and elevating that GHKCU peptide. This is our David Schmidt. Now, please lean into this, especially if you're new. I mentioned earlier he has over 200 patents. This gentleman is brilliant. He's truly brilliant. Okay. Now, in the next 2 months, there's actually a documentary that's being released about this company. So the validity is not in question. Okay. This gentleman, Mickey Willis, his wife, slapped a patch on him. He was a producer for documentaries, still is. And he said, "What is this? My entire team has not gotten sick for months, and they slept 3 to 4 hours every single time they're doing a documentary. So they were sick all the time." Okay. What is incredible was that they did not get sick at all. Well, this right here, this technology, the X39, your body also elevates by 30% glutathione, which actually fights viruses. Okay. It actually helps special needs children in an incredible way as well. But also your body elevates that GHKCU and then also glutathione naturally. And so they didn't get sick. So he said, "I need to know who this man is." And so he leaned in, he found out who he was, he interviewed him, he said, "This is too big not to tell people." Now, if you say, "Well, I have a family member that had a stroke," or "I have a family member that suffers with," I'm trying to find something that we didn't suffer, that we didn't even cover, but eye improvement or immune system disorders or whatever it is, the answer is yes. Okay, your body will begin to put together that to-do list. Visit thisisaninfo.com and you can see the patents, see the studies, but also you can click on the testimonies because Testimony Tuesdays, if you're like, well, I didn't hear the testimony exactly, it will work. Okay. But there's an additional option there. And then if you say, gosh, I want to hear what doctors have to say. We have access to medical Zooms that the doctors are sharing about this technology and what it's done. So between that and this, you have plenty of options of hearing more testimonies. And this is my miracle inbox. I just got another one just now while I was sitting here. And so just understand that everything that you're hoping for or praying for or God has put on your heart tonight, the answer is yes. Okay, so just know that your body knows what to do. Those stem cells are incredible when we activate them. Okay, so do know that if you choose to wear this technology, share this technology, that is how LifeWave chose to build this business because they knew that testimonies are everything. Everybody loves people that desperately need a miracle. And so that's how they chose to build this business. So if you want to get started, you want to get back to the person that invited you to this, and you want to say, yes, you know what? Why not? Okay. Core is just to see if it's right for you. If you say, my gosh, I know so many people that desperately need this. Yeah, welcome to the club. I could not help myself. I began to call all my closest friends, and three of them got testimonies before I even did, and it was such a blessing. And so, if you want to jump in, you can do the advanced, and that opens up a full business for you. Or the premium is, if you want to loan sleeves while your friends and your dear ones' sleeves come in, you can do that as well. But what I can tell you is, you do not want to block the blessings of the people that you love. Truly, guys, don't block the blessings. And I'm just seeing in the chat, was there somebody that wanted to share a testimony about a stroke? Is there anybody that I just saw that? Jerry Kiefer, he said stroke, 1 minute miracle. Well, that's very, very normal. There's miracles that happen between 5 minutes and 5 days. 70% of people feel a miracle between 5 minutes and 5 days. 97% of people feel a miracle within 90 days. So guys, just know that this is the answer to probably your prayers and so many people that you know and love. I pray that every single one of you have an incredible night. Welcome to our family, because I know that after this, you're going to say, okay, I want to share my testimony next because this is what I've been praying for. It will happen. So with that, God bless every single one of you and have an incredible night.